Welcome to Bōde's Edmonton Real Estate Market Report for March 2021. I'm going to show you what's happening at a macro level in Edmonton in terms of supply and demand and property prices. And then I'm going to show you how you can see all of the data for your own specific community, property type or price band, so you can do your own analysis on the market. So let's dive right in. The first thing you need to know is that to understand what's happening in the property market, you have to look at supply and demand. So here I'm looking at the greater Edmonton area, all residential listings. And then on the left, the number of new listings that have come to market each month for the last 3 years. So you can see typically there's more listings in the spring and summer months and fewer listings in the winter. So in the most recent month, February 2021, new listings are up about 5% versus the average of the previous 3 years. So more listings came to market in February than typical. And then on the sales front, sales are way up in February 2021 versus previous years. So that's continuing a very strong run of sales here that we saw beginning from the middle of 2020 and running all the way through to today. There's a lot of demand and a lot of buyers out there right now. People thinking of changing up their home space, perhaps getting more space, moving further away from the center of the city. So fewer new listings relative to demand or sales means that overall the total number of listings or total inventory is down 21% versus average for this time of year. So there's fewer homes for sale than there would normally be, which means buyers have a smaller selection. But the good news for sellers is that they have less competition when they're looking to sell their home. And then if we take a look at supply and demand together to look at the months of supply. So this is, given the number of homes for sale at the moment and the current pace of sale, how many months would it take to sell through all of that inventory? And we're at about 3.5 months of supply in total in Edmonton. So that's lower than typical for this time of year. Typically lower months of supply tends to favor sellers, makes it more of a seller's market, while higher months of supply makes it more of a buyer's market. So right now we're definitely seeing, just in terms of the supply and demand, that it's favoring sellers a little bit more now than it has in the past. So what does all of that mean for prices? Well, if we zoom out and take a look over the last 15 years, we can see that prices in Edmonton peaked in 2007. Since then, they've been, I suppose you would say, relatively flat over those 13 or 14 years. If we look now just in the last 9 or 10 months, there's been a bit of upward movement. Prices have increased about 2% in the last year. So getting back to the prices we saw a little bit earlier in 2019. But that gives you an overview of the market. But what really matters is what's happening in your specific community and for your price band and for your property type. And at Bōde, we've created a suite of tools where you can look at all of that information and all of that data yourself for free. So the first tool we've created is something called market data. So this lets you do a very similar kind of analysis, so you can quickly see what's on the market and what's sold at a community level. So you can look at the same supply and demand dynamics and see trends in prices and price per square foot. Then we've also created a sold data tool where you can check out what any property has sold for in the last 10 years. So you can search by address or search by community and find out what sold and what price it sold for. Finally, we've created a comparables tool where you can enter 8 features of your home and then see the most similar live listings and the most similar recently sold listings as well and what they sold for. So we give you a match score that compares how similar are these other properties to your property. So you can check all of those out over at bode.ca. Once you go to bode.ca, you'll see here in the top menu, sold data, and you can see each of those tools, market data, sold data, and comparables in that dropdown. So head on over to bode.ca and check those out, and tune in next month for the latest market report. Thanks very much.